Hello, I'm Ajahn Jotipālo. Welcome to Sauntering into Silence here on an absolutely beautiful gray morning, and it really is beautiful here. I've really been enjoying the talks that Ajahn Sona gave to the community there about spiritual camping. In my last video, I think in one of the comments I mentioned I should tell some of my stories about winter camping, and someone said, yeah, please do. And I think these are important because they really do give us a clue into spiritual practice, into meditation practice, or understanding Buddhism and what it's aiming for. Because with winter camping, like your learning curve needs to be really strong, because you could do things inadvertently that are life-threatening. And meditation isn't life-threatening, but it's like how you learn the skills for winter camping. Those same skills can be then applied to whatever we do in life. And so like the first thing I was thinking of is like when you're winter camping, like you can learn a lot of it through reading and online. You can, YouTube, you can, hear about other people's experiences and, learn how they did it. So, through books or education. I think the better way is to learn it through hiking with somebody who has the experience, who has learned a lot of the things and can pass them on to you. So it's kind of the same as like being in a monastery, living with a community that have been practicing for a long time. Then kind of the third way is you learn by trial and error. You learn through your mistakes, your successes, and your failures. So with my experience with winter camping, I lived in New Hampshire, had a pretty set schedule with my work, so it was hard to get out for much longer than just the weekends. I first just started doing a lot of snowshoeing. That was one of my loves. And when I started, wanting to be out longer than just day trips, that I ended up connecting with this group called the Randolph Mountain Club up in the northern part of New Hampshire. And they had some lean-tos and a shelter. So I started doing like overnight trips up there. Then one of the things I learned sort of very quickly about hiking in the winter time was that the best way to, or if it's really cold, especially like minus 20, minus 30 or lower, that when you hike with your water bottle upside down, because water freezes from the top down. And if you don't, then the very top of your water bottle will freeze. It can freeze solid, and then even though you've got water in your bottle, you can't drink it. In an emergency situation, you could cut the bottle open from the bottom and drink it that way. But it was just an interesting thing that you learn through experience. Then when I started, I think one of the very first things I did, I went up to their shelter and spent the night up at the shelter. And the next morning, the caretaker there was giving me instructions about how to get to the spring, and was just really adamant. You got to make sure you get the lid on securely, because if it's left open just even a little bit, the cold air will get in there and it'll freeze the water source completely solid, and you won't be able, nobody from then on will be able to use that spring. So it's really important. So it was like a 10-minute walk there, and it was minus 30 that morning. So I walked out there, got to the water source, found it. There was water there, did everything appropriately, except when I went to grab my water bottle. I had the Nalgaline water bottles. They got these really wide openings with a lid that's got an attachment to the bottle, so you don't lose the top. But I had, with an empty water bottle, had screwed the lid on, which you'd think would be normal, right? But I get to the water source, minus 30, the entire water bottle is frozen solid. It's just the lid is part of the bottle, like welded on there. And so I had to walk all the way back to the shelter, warm the water bottle up, walk back out. So here, 40 minutes of walking just to fill the water bottle. So then, I got out there with an empty, opened water bottle, filled it, closed the lid up properly, and then walked back. So that was like, wow, like, I guess I could have read that and known that, or learned that through somebody's telling me that. But to learn that sort of in person, like, I will never forget that. If you're hiking in extremely cold weather, don't put the cap on your water bottle. Ajahn Sona mentioned in one of the talks that wilderness camping in Canada is similar to what monks refer to as tudong in Thailand, in the sense that you're getting out into nature, meditating, but learning skills to be able to survive out here. The same is true like in Thailand. Like, you have to be very attentive and aware of all sorts of different conditions you wouldn't need to if you were just living in a house. In this sense, it's kind of similar to the practice of, say, tudong and winter camping, or just sauntering out here in the wintertime. And you're learning developing all sorts of what they call Bartami's perfections of determination, making effort, simplifying our lives when we're out here. And also developing things like awareness and that ability to have introspection about what we're doing and learning from that. So this Randolph Mountain Club, they had somebody in part of the club had written a couple of books about trail stewardship, how to, like, if there's water running down a trail, that's one way to really damage the trail. So they're like teaching how to make water bars on the trail to get the water off. Things like just trail etiquette and just tips on hiking. So I was reading this, and there were two, I thought, really funny jokes in the book. And I think this is also a spiritual kind of meditation teaching. The saying, when winter camping doesn't build character, it reveals it. And so, as I was saying, like, winter camping, you learn how you learn things. Putting yourself in situations that are challenging, we can actually watch, our mind. Like, how do we respond to that? Do we have an inquisitive mind? Do we complain? Do we have self-doubt about ourselves? So just, seeing these things, what I think it does is, it does actually build character, but it builds character only if we look at the situation and really evaluate ourselves. Like, okay, how am I doing? Is this the type of person that I want to be? Like, if we're just complaining or making it difficult for ourselves, then you see that really clearly, then you can put in the effort to figure out another way to be. And so I just feel like that's a great way of, say, the monastic life training in meditation. Now, his other joke was they have these compasses that are high quality ones, and I've never actually learned how to use one. I probably should do that. Is the compasses that have these mirrors on them. And his joke was, he says, those compasses with the mirrors on them, the arrow shows you where you're lost. The mirror tells you who is lost. So, let's not be lost. Thanks for watching.
Jotipālo, yeah. Jotipālo, yeah.